It's time for your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good afternoon, I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your afternoon forecast update. And you can see that we have seen pretty much all the clouds fade away here from the state as of the last hour or so here. It took a little while to get some of that to completely erode in parts of the kind of east central part of the state. So hung tough for a little bit, but now it looks like we're in full sunshine across the state. And it's a beautiful day on tap here. You can see, looking at the Mount Cheahaw camera, this was a time lapse that we set up from earlier, from when you still had some of the clouds and some of the fog around. You can see this is pretty cool because the camera was just above that cloud layer there, which again, I think there was some fog at the surface, but you also just had some really low clouds moving through. But you can see kind of how things are kind of rolling around here. I mean, this is kind of gives you an idea how the fact that the atmosphere is a fluid and behaves a lot like water does in a lot of ways, and it's hard to see until you kind of see a layer of clouds like this. So really cool looking time lapse, and you can see here towards the end where things started to break up and the sun started to peek through. So love our sky cams, and I'm glad we could capture that for you there. Albertville, again, now it's blue skies, so we're not going to find hardly any clouds out there as we move across the state. It's 57 degrees there, so warming up into the upper 50s. We'll get a little bit warmer before things start to move back down, but probably not much more than this with the fact that the sun will be going down here just in the next few hours with the time change. Alabaster looking like we've got some blue skies there as well. Beautiful view there. See some colors in the trees, and it's 61, so a little bit warmer as you move further towards the south there. And as we continue to move down towards the south, Montgomery's at 65, so really nice day there in kind of the south central part of the state. You can see the dew points are generally in the 30s, so it's very dry out there. We've kind of reinforced our dry air mass with over the course of the day today, and we are very dry out there, and blue skies again in Spanish Fort as well. Actually only 63 degrees there. See a beautiful view looking out towards the bay, and it's a little bit of a breeze out of the northwest, and especially the southern part of the state, but it's not super breezy or anything like that. Outside of maybe Gulf Shores, where I see a gust around 26 miles per hour. So yeah, as is typical, a little bit breezier there at the beach, but not too bad at 64 degrees there, and beautiful look there at the Gulf. So looking at your temperatures right now, again, we've only got into the 50s towards the north, and that may be about as high as we go in some of these areas. 59 degrees in Coleman, 58 degrees in Huntsville. Further to the south, again, we've got into the 60s at 65 in Greenville, 64 in Monroeville, and looks like Dothan's almost at 70 degrees there. So they're kind of the winner as far as the kind of warm, nice afternoon so far. Forecast lows for tonight, we expect another chilly one out there. Similar to last night, maybe not quite as cold in some spots, but still well down in the 30s, especially in the northern half of the state. We expect 37 in Anniston, 35 in Gadsden, and then generally 40s as you move kind of south of Montgomery. However, again, I think there's very likely we have some few spots in the colder spots that hit freezing again, but maybe we won't quite get into the upper 20s like we did in a few spots earlier this morning. Forecast highs for tomorrow, we'll expect to kind of warm up a little bit more, and we're expecting a warming trend over the course of the day, or a course of the week. So we'll expect to get into the low 70s generally across kind of the southern 3/4 of the state, maybe upper 60s up in the Tennessee Valley. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at for this week, is that we're going to be dry through Thursday at least, and we expect some chance of rain and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms as we get into Friday, but a warming trend during that time period as well. So we'll kind of gradually warm up, still cool in the morning, but gradually warming up during the afternoons over the course of the week. And then again, a few showers, maybe a few storms as we get into Friday into Saturday. Also could see a little bit more on Sunday before we look to dry out and probably get cold again as we get into early next week. Here's a look at the water vapor and kind of the overall look of the pattern here at the surface. So high pressure is building in here, and you can see that this orange here is just the dry air mass that's in place here. So again, we're kind of in between the systems now as well. There's one that brought the few showers and a little bit of small hail that came through yesterday. The upper level low has since moved out, and you got a surface low there in the Atlantic, and then we've got more stuff developing back to the west. But for now, we are quiet with the high pressure and dry air in place. And you'll see that looking at the futurecast. Really not much to show here over the next few days, just plenty of sunshine, hardly a few clouds in the sky. Few banks of fog will probably form again tomorrow morning, like we saw this morning, maybe not quite as widespread, but then again, will be blue skies the rest of the day, and just another beautiful afternoon. And I guess we get into Wednesday, there might be a few more clouds trying to build in from the west and the northwest, but nothing that's going to really affect the weather at all. Now, as we go a little bit further out here, looking at the European model, you can see it starts to bring in by Friday afternoon some showers, and again, some heavier rain potentially, and maybe some thunderstorms, especially heading towards the northern part of the state, moving through Tennessee and Kentucky. So that'll be one we'll be watching to kind of see what our thunderstorm chances are with that. we're not expecting big rain totals with this, but if we could get a little bit more than what we're expecting, that would be nice. And then again, as we move through Saturday, a few lingering showers, and Sunday, that's early Sunday morning there. So again, we'll go a little bit further than that as we get closer to that tomorrow. But again, the warming trend is what we're looking at here. So again, right now we're still kind of in this northwesterly flow, but this warmer air will be kind of moving in over the next couple of days so that it's pleasant, nice weather in the afternoons, cool in the mornings. And then as we get into the late weekend, early next week, you can see this big big trough with cold air coming in and kind of settling back in with some colder air, so that we're looking at very likely as we get into early next week, some of the coldest air we've seen so far this season could be making its way in here by that point. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Beautiful day today to round out the day, and tonight will be nice as well, but chilly once the sun goes down. 61 degrees is what we're looking at for the highs. And then again, look at the highs beginning to rise as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday, getting in the low 70s, lows still down in the 40s. And then again, Friday, we may have to bump the rain chances up on Friday, especially in North Alabama. We'll kind of keep an eye on that, but that's possible. We have to bump the rain chances up there a little bit, depending on what we see in the guidance there. And then for South Alabama, again, looking really nice the rest of the day today. And then we're warming up into almost upper 70s. We could flirt with 80 degrees by Thursday in the southern part of the state, but still dry air mass in place, very comfortable. And same thing, Friday, we'll see if we may need to bump up those rain chances a little bit, depending on what we see with the forecast here the next day or two. But generally, some nice weather coming up for the next several days. That's your Alabama forecast. We appreciate you watching us here on the Alabama Weather Network.